Hi everyone, my name is Ray, or some of you might know me as Tiki with Ray, and today I am at Tiki Tom's in, which creek is this?
Walnut Creek.
Walnut Creek, what did I say?
Walnut Grove.
Walnut Creek, which is like the east, where they said the far east bay of California. And we're at this tiki bar that's awesome. I love it. Thanks for turning me on to this place. And we're drinking Mai Tais.
Yeah.
And back in July at TikiCon, Kevin did a symposium on essentially like the history of the Mai Tai. Now the thing is, I've always known that like there was like the 44 Mai Tai, and then there was the Island Mai Tai, and I just assumed that like there was the 44, and then they just came up with the Island Mai Tai, and then there was an actual evolution.
Yes.
So well, first, just a short history. How did the 44 become the Island Mai Tai?
Yeah. So when Trader Vic's was contracted to do the cocktail menu for the Royal Hawaiian, he had a Mai Tai on the menu, and there were some other drinks there as well. But this Mai Tai was basically a 44, but with light rum and dark rum, a little bit more appealing to tourists and things like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a secret, and he even gave the recipe to a customer. He wrote out his assistant typed out a letter, and Trader Vic signed it. That letter eventually went up for sale, so that's how we know of its existence. But it was a light rum, dark rum, and equal parts of all the sugar ingredients. Mm-hmm. And that was the Mai Tai that kind of became the thing in Hawaii in the late 50s. And later on, pineapple started to get added for a variety of reasons. People asked for it because they thought, well, pineapple is synonymous with Hawaii.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be great in the cocktail. And obviously, there's lots of cocktails with pineapple in it. Maybe people liked it. And so it evolved over time, where it originally was mostly like a 44, but again, light rum and dark rum. And then by the 60s and especially the 70s and 80s, all you could find for the most part in Hawaii is a bunch of pineapple juice and a whole, a gigantic rum float. And this is a nice little bit of a rum float here on this guy. Just add a little extra flavor and a little bit of octane, But, when you get like the 5 inches worth of dark rum float, it's a really different cocktail. So it evolved over time.
There's nothing. The only thing that I have that's honestly in common is there's rum in it. Yeah. I mean, when did the curacao? When did the curacao leave? When did the Orsha get pulled out?
All those Mai Tais still, mainly they are still using orange curacao and orgeat. This idea that nobody knew what was in a Mai Tai was just a complete myth, because all these Mai Tais from the 50s and in the 60s, and all these recipes that were published in newspapers and in books and other things, they always use orgeat, they always use orange curacao.
Okay.
It might not have been in the exact proportion of a 44, but it was still, the basic bones were there. It wasn't like some sort of secret mystery ingredient that nobody knew about, like Dawn's Mix or something like that.
When did the 44 recipe start to come back in popularity?
Well, the craft cocktail revolution started in the early 2000s in big cities like New York and San Francisco.
Yep.
And people discovered these old recipes, the pre-prohibition cocktails, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they got turned on to some of the tiki cocktails because it used some of the same sort of old school type ingredients. They they started reading Jeff Berry's books and were like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And by then he built up this reputation as a cocktail expert within this genre. And so, the early 2000s, coinciding with the fact that rum became a much more of a premium spirit. So you had better rums coming into the market rather than just Bacardi and just coconut rum and that sort of thing.
This all is a precursor to the question that I wanted to ask you and the topic that we're going to talk about for this episode.
Okay.
The Mai Tai obviously evolved. And if you go to a regular bar and order a Mai Tai, you're going to get essentially the Island Mai Tai.
If you're lucky. It might be a bunch of pineapple juice and grenadine.
Yeah.
And,
it
might include vodka and, who knows what.
Yeah. So you have like Mai Tai quotations. Mai Tai, which is essentially the Island Mai Tai, and then you do have the 44.
Right.
So here's the question. Do you think the Mai Tai could evolve again, or can it, or should it?
Yeah, so the Mai Tai should not evolve. The Trader Vic's 1944 Mai Tai, it is what it is. You can play with the rums, you can play with the orgeat,
Yeah.
adjust it a little bit here or there, but it is basically the same cocktail. But could you take that template and do a riff on it? Could you put Campari in it and make it a bitter Mai Tai? Could you put a float of IPA and make it a Mai Tai PA? Yes, but it's got to have a different name. We're not going to, 50 years from now, we're not going to have a Mai Tai that is a completely different cocktail. It may be some other really good cocktail, but it won't be a Mai Tai.
Have you had any Mai Tais where someone did do a riff on it and it was good or great?
Well, the Skull and Crown Trading Company, they did a dagger Mai Tai with Smothers Cove. It's got some extra spices and things that definitely is not this typical Mai Tai flavor profile.
Yeah.
Still a great cocktail. Includes orgeat, includes an orange liqueur, and rum, of course.
Yeah.
So you can say it's sort of a Mai Tai riff, and which is what they've done, and it's still delicious. But that's why they use the name Dagger Mai Tai, because it's not the Mai Tai.
But you don't think there'll ever be an evolution of the Mai Tai as this is the Mai Tai now?
Well, the reason the Island Mai Tai sort of evolved
Yeah.
and became the Mai Tai without the sort of modifier Island Mai Tai or Hawaiian Mai Tai.
That's like a retro active thing.
But
right?
the reason that is because people were not the internet. No one's going to be able to say, here's a Mai Tai, and put it on a menu someplace, and people wouldn't know the difference because they can look up the recipe anytime they want.
Yeah.
And, they're like, what are you talking about, vodka? What are you talking about, brandy? What are you talking, it's like you've got to do this. And Yelp, other, my blog, other blogs where they like, what's this, Mai Tai is shitty or whatever. They know that they can't get away with just serving whatever they want. And so if they're going to do a riff, there's no problem. Just give it a little bit of a different name. And absolutely, it could be great to try.
But you don't think the Mai Tai will evolve more, though? You think all that evolution? Well, first of all, let me ask you this, Kevin.
Well, it evolved.
Do you think if you had control over things, do you feel that the Mai Tai should have always stayed as the 44 recipe?
I think that there are many island Mai Tais with pineapple juice and orange juice that are delicious.
Okay.
But they're a different kind of cocktail. And as long as you call it, again, Royal Hawaiian Mai Tai or
Something
Island Mai
different.
Tai or whatever, there's no problem. And, a lot of people like that style better. That's totally cool. And at some bars, like Forbidden Island, they have both on the menu, right? They have the classic Mai Tai and the other Island Mai Tai. Choose whichever you prefer.
Hypothetically, if there was to be an evolution of the Mai Tai, and I agree with you, I don't think it should evolve at all. I think the 44 is the 44. It's the superior drink on all counts. It's out of all the tiki drinks out there, I still feel it's one of the most balanced, easily balanced drinks to make. But if there was an evolution, just for fun, what do you think? What would you change? What could change?
Maybe something something different to float. Some different ingredient. I don't know. A lot of the Mai Tais will have the dark rum float or that look like a Demerara float.
Yeah.
Maybe something like tequila or brandy gives you a little bit of a different taste, but just a hint of it as opposed to completely changing the nature of the drink.
Well,
I think a float would be a way I would tweak it in a way that
Well, to me, the heart of the 44 is the curacao and the orgeat
and aged rum.
and the aged rum.
Because if you use vodka or light Puerto Rican rum, Bacardi or something like that, it's really kind of a different drink.
It is. But what about if you were to change the curacao or the orgeat?
Well, some people do like a macadamia nut orgeat, and that's cool.
A macadamia nut orgeat.
Or, pistachio orgeat. It's basically the same idea as you're taking the nuts and you're turning it into a syrup. Those are the kinds of riffs that I think are, totally cool and acceptable, and I'd love to try them.
Did Trader Vic, when he was coming up with his cocktails, Orgeat is kind of his thing.
Yeah.
That's definitely not a Don Beach ingredient.
Well, it's a French ingredient, and he's French Canadian by origin.
So a lot of the only tiki drinks I know of that have orgeat in it are like his drinks. Like the Fog Cutter has orgeat in it.
Yes, and the Eastern Sour and the Scorpion, but then like the Saturn is not a Trader Vic's drink, and that's got orgeat too.
Who made the Saturn?
I don't know. I forget the bartender's name, but it was in the World Cocktail Competition, 1967.
Was a lot of his drinks? Is he doing like orgeat and curacao, or could it just be?
Just could be orgeat as a sweetener. Sure.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this is because when I'm noticing with some of the Don Beachcomber drinks, he does that essentially the Don's mix. Grapefruit, cinnamon.
Yeah.
Grapefruit, cinnamon. There's a lot of in those drinks. I'm just wondering if you could change that curacao orgeat combination and replace something with something else.
Well, I do a banana Mai Tai.
Banana Mai Tai.
Which uses banana liqueur instead of the orange liqueur. And instead of the like the Demerara or rock candy syrup, I do a molasses syrup. But you still have orgeat in there because that's kind of essential for the Mai Tai.
Yeah.
So you can play with these things, and again, if you do a little modifier, it could be fun and delicious.
Is it safe to say though? I mean, like as far as it goes, when it comes to the Mai Tai recipe, you need to have the curacao, the orgeat, the aged rum.
Yeah.
And if it's not a Mai Tai.
No.
I just think it's interesting to see. Well, here's the thing: we are in a time where we have people that are that can do craft cocktails. We have people that are knowledgeable about their spirits and what they can do, and I've seen it. And it's always awesome when you can see like mixologists coming up with their own ideas.
Yeah.
And I am interested. I'm just interested. I just like thinking about it. It's like, okay, well, like if the Mai Tai was to evolve more, what would be that evolution? But you think, nah, keep it.
The Mai Tai doesn't evolve. People create new cocktails based on that template, just the way they create drinks off of the old fashioned or a daiquiri or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm cool with the 44.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Kevin, thanks for this rum experiment, this thought experiment in Mai Tais, because it's something that I think about. I always wonder. It's like, I mean, even like with the zombie. I mean, like, there's the 34 zombie, there's the 1950 zombie. There's actually several different years.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, well, can the zombie evolve again? Can any... And it really seems like those are the only two drinks where, like, there's been evolutions. And I'm curious to see, since Tiki is really, really popular and has been popular more recently, and we have people that could take it further, can it be done and should it be done?
Evolution is inevitable, but again, the classics remain as they are because they're classics.
I'm not going to be able to beat that to end the video. Thanks, Kevin.
Cheers.
Want to support the Tiki with Ray show and look cool doing it at the same time? Then head over to tikiwithray.com and buy yourself a Tiki with Ray shirt. They're only $20. Tony Canepa did the design, and they're screen printed in America.